Hello and welcome back to Shulchan Aruch HaRav. We continue in Hilchos Netilas Yadaim Siman Kuf Nun Test. We pick it up with Sif Chaf. There are those that say if a monkey was trained to pour water over your hands for washing Netilas Yadaim, it would be okay. The only requirement is that the water has to come by way of something or someone pouring it by a kayach that was made to do this. Whoever it may be, whether that's a human or a monkey. There are those that say that that it has to be done by a human's power, just like by the water of the paraduma. And the psak is that you should be concerned with that opinion and don't train your monkey to wash your hands. However, after the fact, if your monkey already washed your hands, you can rely on the lenient opinion, to be lenient when it comes to a rabbinic requirement. But that is only the person washing has to have intentions. The person being washed, whoever's getting the water poured on his hands, has to have in mind that it's being done to allow him to eat bread, as was explained earlier. Unlike when it's a man that's doing this, then even if only the pourer has in mind even though the guy receiving the water has no intentions of eating, the guy who poured the water did, and that would be okay. Obviously, that won't work with a monkey. The imanaisin who puchas ben sheish. If the person putting the water was a human, but it was a young child under 6 years old, some say that he is like a monkey. Because he has no true understanding of what's actually happening. His kavana, even though he thinks in his mind, I'm doing this so this person can eat bread, it's not valid. 6 and over, even though he is absolutely a katan, he's a child in halacha, or a deaf mute, or an insane person, or even a guy, their kavanas would be valid, even though the guy getting the water poured on his hands has no intentions, the guy pouring does. And if he's miskaven, the guy receiving the water, then he could get his hands washed by a deaf mute or an insane person or a child or a guy. Even though they don't have kavanah, these are called people as far as the concept of water coming from the power of a adam, of a person. They are people, even though there are certain things, many things that they are exempt from in halacha. They are considered people in this halacha. And whether or not it's permissible for a woman who's a nida to pour her hands, to pour the water on your hands, or maybe if it's a person's daughter, or someone who takes care of him, even though she's a nida, and also a guy and also a guy we say that anything that they lift up something, it becomes tamei, and so the water in the vessel now is going to become tamei. Even though they didn't touch it, how can that water now go and purify the hands for somebody to eat? Even if he's only going to eat regular food, it's not for kudshim. Truma, meaning if you'll remember, the reason we watch today is it's a connection to the trumas that used to be eaten that you had to have your hands washed. And if this were actual truma, these people would be possible. You cannot let tamei people wash your hands for truma because they'll become tamei. The food will become tamei from the water that was tamei, and now you're making matame the truma. You're not allowed to do that. Nevertheless, everybody today is tamei because of dead bodies. And there is no possibility for anyone to become tar from the water. Then we do not have to be concerned for the tumah from a goy or from a nida. But there are those that say no, do not let a nida or a nach or a guy wash your hands. Since it's possible to be careful from that kind of tumah, you don't come in contact with a nida, you shouldn't come in contact with a guy in that way. And we don't learn the possible from the impossible. I mean, the other things are impossible. You can't become tar from a mace, but you can become tar from these things. So we don't compare them. You don't learn one from the other. But and says the Alter Rebbe that it is good to be concerned for this opinion, to not allow yourself to be washed by a nida or a nachri for your hands to be washed. Aval ima nachri heavy mind bekli. If the guy brought the water in a vessel who noitel ba'atzmai and he's washing himself, ein lachush. The guy himself is washing. The guy just brought the water, but the Jew is doing the washing himself. Then you don't have to be worried. Shezeu gam kein davar she'efshar, because here also it's possible. It's not possible to become tar totally, and so it's not possible to become tahar. It's not possible to become tameh if you don't touch the guy. So therefore, you could rely on this. It's better if you can be careful from this. It's praiseworthy. Ashrav. It's better to be to stay away from this as well, if possible. The Alter Rebbe says his fortune is good, and we need as much good fortune as we can get. So try and just wash yourself. Have a great day.